I've got 9:30. Evangel, are you good? Okay, I believe all the audio is working, so morning, everybody. Bright and early.
Morning.
Morning. So first of all, I'll just call our meeting to order, and Happy New Year. Happy 2022 and Happy Lunar New Year to everybody. I hope everybody's well. So just ask for any additions to the agenda or deletions. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add? Feel free to speak up because I don't know if I have everybody on my screen, so just yell out, hey Andy, anytime. Okay, so I don't see any hands going up or anything, so it looks like we're ready to go.
Morning, sorry.
Oh, hey Alexa, how you doing? Good. We just said hi and just called to order, so we'll just give Alexa a second to set up, if that's okay. You all set? Okay. Oh yeah, we're using the microphones in here.
So trippy.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I think we got it going here now. All right, can we just have a motion to adopt the agenda as it's presented? Okay, moved and seconded. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the minutes. I trust everybody's had a chance to look at the minutes and review it. So are there any additions or changes to the minutes, or can we have a motion to adopt those?
Sandra, move.
Okay, thanks. Moved and seconded. That's great. And now we'll move into the agenda items. And first up on it is the Traffic Safety Advisory Committee, and that's Donna. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you. So in the minutes, in the agenda package, the minutes of the January 27th Traffic Safety Advisory Committee meeting are included. And one item related to schools is item number 2 on Cochina Elementary School, which is located west of number 1 road between Granville Avenue and Blundell Road. So staff have met with the principal at Cochina School in December regarding issues with the pickup and drop-off. Is the sound okay?
Yep, you're
okay.
good.
I'm just hearing a lot of feedback.
Oh.
So staff met with the principal in December regarding drop-off and pickup, and after investigating, staff determined that a loading zone during school days will be established on Moresby Drive adjacent to the park, allowing parents to drop off and pick up their children. So the section established can accommodate about 15 vehicles, and parents can drop off and pick up between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. during school days. The signs were installed on January 26th, and the principal of the school has already provided some feedback indicating that the on-street loading is definitely helping and is used every morning and after school. He has been observing it himself as well and has noticed that people are obeying the loading zone and not parking there during the day and only using it for dropping off and picking up. So it's working well, and thanks to the traffic operations staff for doing that so quickly. So in addition, staff will be installing traffic or school zone marker signs on the roadway this spring. You've probably seen those around some schools already, and they're quite effective and easy to implement. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? I'm not seeing any hands. Sandra.
Andy?
Yep.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, just a comment. Thank you, Ms. Chan, for that report, and thank you, just on behalf of the board, for dealing with the situation at Cochina. I know that area, and it's also just right around the curve in the road, and yeah, visibility isn't great, and just great that they could find a solution that seems to be working. So our appreciation for that.
Thank you.
Great. Any other comments or questions? I don't see any. I'll just make one too then. I think that's a great idea. You know, it's an example of parking restrictions and everything and a common sense rule being implemented that works for everybody, so people aren't violating the law. Now you have a loading zone that allows people to do what they were probably doing anyway. So it's a very reasonable solution to something that, you know, happens, because hardly anybody drives their kids to school right now. So, you know, we know, that's kidding, right? So anyway, I think that's a really good idea. Okay, and just checking, Donna, does anybody else have any feedback issues, or is the audio working for everybody now? No, okay.
It's working well now.
Okay.
For me. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks. Is that it for that first agenda item? Okay, then we can move on to number 2, the Traffic Safety Advisory Committee.
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Mr.
that's
Chair.
it? Okay.
So this is an annual report that we bring to council on what we've done in the past year and new initiatives in the coming year. So I've spoken to this committee before about the many programs and campaigns that have been occurring, such as the traffic safety initiatives around schools and increasing safety awareness for pedestrians around schools, like the Think of Me cards that children drew and were handed out to drivers. For initiatives this year, I've mentioned before that we are working on an inventory for each school to identify existing conditions of the pathways connecting to the schools and adjacent parks, and to determine any improvements needed to encourage walking and improve road safety. So all of the schools, both elementary and secondary, have now been assessed, and staff are currently working on developing an implementation strategy for each school. Once that's done, we'll bring a report to council on the implementation strategy. So that could be possibly in the next few months. Also, we will continue to work with ICBC and Richmond RCMP on pedestrian and traffic safety campaigns held at locations throughout the school. And I can inform you also that the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure, so this is the province, has now offered to join our committee, our TSAC committee. So this will add to safety improvements on our roads. So thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Sure, thanks. Any questions from anybody or comments? I'm looking for hands.
Move receipt.
Don't. Pardon?
Move receipt.
Okay, thanks. I'll just make one comment on that too, and that's just on the inventory that you've accumulated there. Is there anything that stands out in terms of priorities, you know, risk assessment, or are they all kind of the same issues, similar, no one rises to the top based on risk?
I don't have any details, but each school has their own unique situation. It's not one size fits all for, of course, because some schools, they have different circumstances or adjacent to different types of roads. But I think, like you alluded to, people are driving their kids to school, especially in the bad weather. Some schools have better walkways and pathways to the schools than others, so we want to make sure that we make them all safe, especially on crossing our roadways.
Okay, thanks. All right, number 3, and I believe that's you too.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So similar to the Traffic Safety Advisory Committee report, this report to council summarizes the 2021 works and the upcoming 2022 initiatives. So one item I'd like to speak on is the Bike Education for Students initiative. So it was successfully implemented last year during the pandemic, or during the continuing pandemic. The intent is to provide the cycling education course to all grade 6s and 7s in all 38 elementary schools in Richmond over a 2-year period. So last year, 1,600 students from 18 schools benefited from the course that the city provides through hub cycling. This year, the course will be offered to the remaining 20 elementary schools, and this is all being done in person because most of it is cycling out on the street as well as in-class instruction. And so after this year, it'll continue that all grade 6s and 7s, they'll offer it to 18 to 20 schools per year so that we capture all of the grade 6s and 7s.
Wow.
So I'm happy to answer any questions on that.
Sure, thanks. Any questions or comments from anybody?
I have a question, not so much for you, Donna, but sort of to the school board. So, you know, it seems that with the city, we have a really focused way of looking at accessibility for the schools, trying to make the pathways open up for the kids to get to the schools. I'm wondering if you guys are doing the same thing on the school board side. So, like, I know when I take my kids to Westwind, there's a path that comes from the road to the school, and there's dumpsters in the middle of it. So if I was in a wheelchair or anything else, I can't go there, and I have to go around through the mud and get my kid there. If I'm riding a bike from one of the other paths, I have to wiggle my way up onto a bit of a sidewalk and then come off the sidewalk to get over to the bike parking area because there's a chain preventing cars from going through. So the connectivity within the schoolyard itself is lacking. And I'm wondering if you guys are looking at that sort of thing. And also in terms of bike parking. So, you know, I look at some of the bike parking in front of some of the schools, and it's nowhere near where the office is. So nobody's overseeing the bikes, or is there, I'm wondering if there's even cameras that are watching the bikes so that if something does happen, someone gets their bike stolen, vandalized, that you can look into it. So I'm just wondering if those things are in place.
Hi, sorry, Chair, it's Sandra here. I noticed that our superintendent's turned his camera on. He may have a comment to make, although I just wanted to clarify, these initiatives that are in the report here are initiatives of the committee itself, right? The Traffic Advisory Safety Committee, which the school district has staff on that committee as well. So I'm assuming that we're working in collaboration on all these, that it's a joint, these are joint initiatives, but just wanted to clarify. And then I'll see if our staff want to comment.
Yes, good morning, Chairperson. I actually was going to refer to Mr. Geyer, who would perhaps have a greater depth of knowledge than I would have around this sort of thing. So, Mr. Geyer, could you comment?
Thanks. Through the chair. So basically what we do is we work with the school, and if the school wants to improve connectivity or wants to move obstacles, that sort of thing, they put a service request in. We don't do it unilaterally for facilities, because obviously the school has, they may have reasons for why things are where they are. So what we basically do is we rely on the school principal, vice principal, TAC to advise us on this, and as these come up, we deal with it.
Thanks. Does that answer that, Alexa?
Yeah, that answers it. Thanks.
Thanks, and sorry, I haven't met everybody on this call either. So Frank and Scott, you're two of the people I haven't met. So I've seen you online before, and anyway, nice to meet you again online. Maybe we'll meet in person one day. Okay, Donna, were you finished on that one, or did you have more?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Okay, were there any other questions or comments on that topic? Okay, thanks very much. Let's move on, and I think Donna's off the hook, and we're moving on to childcare update, which is a standing item. And that's Chris. I believe it's Chris. Too early to use Bueller, so. Is Chris here, or, yeah, Chris is, no.
I don't see her on here.
Okay, is there somebody to speak to that, or?
Oh, can you hear me now, Mr. Chair?
I can.
My apologies.
Oh,
The new technology, I was trying to unmute and it wasn't, I didn't have control over that.
Hey, my apologies. I was looking at your picture actually, and I couldn't hear you, so thanks.
Thank you. So I just wanted to provide a very brief childcare update to the committee today with some very good news that we recently just accepted transfer of our second early childhood development hub, Seedlings Early Childhood Development Hub, which is located at number 3 Road in Cook, was transferred to the city at the very end of December and had its final licensing inspection yesterday and is scheduled for operations to commence in early March. Richmond Society for Community Living will be the operator of that facility and will be offering 4 different types of licensed childcare, including infant and toddler care, 3 to 5-year-old care, preschool, and before and after school care for school-age children. This facility is the city's 12th childcare facility and brings us to a total of 583 licensed spaces operated by not-for-profit organizations in Richmond, and that represents about 8% of the total of licensed childcare spaces available in our community. When we add that to the significant number of spaces that are also provided by our community associations and societies, that represents about 18% of the total licensed childcare spaces in Richmond. So lots of progress being made with regards to city-owned facilities and community association and society-operated facilities. The second update I wanted to provide was just a little bit related to the COVID-19 pandemic and alignment with the guidelines that are already in place for schools. At the end of January, the BC Centre for Disease Control updated the childcare health and safety guidelines to better align them with the guidelines that had been in place for schools operated in Richmond. And so that information was released at the end of January. There was then a town hall meeting with childcare providers and parents. And then the announcement as well that the province was also going to be providing rapid tests to licensed childcare providers in the same way that they had provided COVID rapid tests to make them available for teachers and school staff. So very pleased that childcare was included in that initiative, and childcare providers have let us know that they've started to receive their tests. And then finally, just this week, the provincial government also announced additional health and safety funding for licensed childcare providers so that they can adhere to the additional cleaning and sanitizing procedures that are outlined in the new guidelines. And I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Sure. Any questions or comments from people? I don't see any hands popping up. I'll just say you are all good news, aren't you? So that was all fantastic news. So thanks very much for that. And if there's nothing else on that one, you all done, Chris?
Nothing else from me, thank you.
Okay. Well, thanks very much. And we'll move on to number 5, which is anti-racism and diversity, the working group update. And that is Crystal Brodigam, I think.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you all here this morning. Hi, Andy. Long time no see. I'm a little bit afraid to ask how old your Kevin and Kelly are. I feel like it's going to make me feel.
Well, they are in their 30s now, and just an informal comment, I will just say they probably finished school largely due to Crystal Brodigam. So who was a fantastic teacher, and I'm sure doing a fantastic job in your new role. So sorry to out you as being such an outstanding teacher, but they probably knew that anyway. But they're all doing fine, thanks. The next generation is coming in to terrorize Richmond teachers pretty soon, so.
Oh, good. That's awesome. I'll have to find out what school they're going to. Thanks, Andy. So when I reported to Council Board last year, we were in the process with our Diversity and Anti-Racism Working Group on embarking on diversity, equity, and inclusion audit with Bacow Consulting in Vancouver, which involved lots of surveying and focus group work with our stakeholders. And after receiving that report, the Diversity and Anti-Racism Working Group reconvened in November of this school year, and has been meeting every couple of weeks to review the data and recommendations in the report in order to fulfill the mandate for the Diversity and Anti-Racism Working Group, which was put forward by the Board of Education in June of 2020. So it is expected that the report of the Diversity and Anti-Racism Working Group will be presented publicly to the board in April. And just as a reminder, the mandate for this working group is consultation with students, staff, and other stakeholders regarding experiences with racism in the school district, a review of what is currently being done around educating students about racism, reviewing current policy and practices, and identifying what gaps the district needs to address in regards to anti-racism education and practices, and then report those recommendations to the board for further action. And of course, this work is connected strongly to our strategic priority 2, goal 1, learning environments are equitable and inclusive, and goal 2, that the district actively addresses unconscious bias and privilege, systemic discrimination, and marginalization. So as a group, the working group is reviewing each section of the data with some guiding questions in mind, which are any additional questions that have arisen out of the data. What is standing out as clear themes, and are they reflected in the report's recommendations and analysis? And which of those recommendations are going to stand out as priorities moving forward? So, as I said, that will be coming to the board in April. And now I would also like to take the opportunity to introduce Navshina Savory, who is in a new position that was created for this school year, one of our new positions for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And Navshina is District Administrator for Equity and Inclusion. And she's going to tell you a little bit more about some of the current actions that are underway that support our strategic plan. So over to you, Navshina.
Great. Thank you very much, Crystal, and good morning, Chair, and everyone else. It's a pleasure to be here this morning and provide a bit of an update in terms of a high-level update on what we are doing alongside Crystal in the anti-racism group and the work that we're doing here in the Richmond School District around equity and inclusion. First of all, the work of equity and inclusion is obviously all-encompassing, and we're finding its way into really everything that we do in the school district, from professional learning, stakeholder engagement, policy, and human resources, most importantly, student achievement and their sense of belonging in our schools. This work has fallen heavily, as most work does, in the leadership capacity of our school administrators, firstly and foremost, to ensure that the conversations around equity, inclusion, and anti-racism are actualized into fulfilling, as Crystal mentioned, our district's strategic priorities of equity and inclusion. As you can imagine, for our school-based leaders, it's to lead school staff and students and parents and their communities in equity is challenging at the best of times, but during COVID has been further exacerbated. However, as all clouds have silver linings, COVID has also highlighted for us as a school district the further need to increasing our awareness and support in the way that is inclusive and equitable for all those that we serve. We're fortunate here in the Richmond School Board had a vision early on to ensuring that the work of creating equitable and inclusive schools, is clearly articulated and the expectation to our district strategic plan, which in part includes creating this position and also the position of a teacher consultant who works very closely with me in terms of providing school and department-based leaders, teachers, parents, and students with opportunities of enhancing their learning and awareness around equity issues and inclusive experiences and providing inclusive learning environments. Some of the ways that we've started to work on this is obviously a huge part of this is sort of a journey of introspection for our organization, starting at the personal identities, our biases, our knowledge and experience. We know that our folks come with varied experiences and willingness to engage in this work, but we're also sensitive that whilst ensuring that the work moves forward with momentum, it must be strategic and sustainable to make sure that we have everyone along on this journey. So to do this, we've obviously started with an awareness through our professional development opportunities and very specific to be focused around anti-racist bias and identity. We've provided some what we call learning bursts at many opportunities with staff and students. In addition, some work that we're very proud of that is a national first for us in the Richmond School District is to do what we call our library audits, and that is basically looking at our library books and our collections to see what it is that we offer in terms of diverse offers and stories for our students to be able to access. This occurred last year with all of our secondary schools and their libraries with our teacher librarians, and the work is continuing this year with approximately a quarter of our elementary schools engaging in the library audits this year, and we hope to pick up on schools next year and in the years ahead. So that's just a few examples of the things that we're doing. One very important work, and I think is really at the heart of what we do, is to start to engage our student voice and agency. We started to have student focus groups to really try and figure out what it is that our students are going through, what they're feeling, what they're experiencing, with our overall commitment to ensuring that everyone feels a sense of belonging in our Richmond schools. Finally, we're infusing at every opportunity to communicate and share faith and cultural days that are celebrated and commemorated by our students, families, and staff, so that we are highlighting and centering the experiences and voices of historically marginalized groups. This has provided a way for our students to enhance their learning of diversity and strength that lies within. Some of the dates that we've highlighted this year include Rosh Hashanah, Christmas, and currently Black History Month. In sort of bringing to light these faith holidays, our focus has really been on the learning rather than celebrating, allowing space for diversity of learning from each other. So really the road ahead is, we feel, our school board is certainly encouraging and supportive of a promising yet necessary journey that we're all trying to navigate. We are very optimistic that the work in our schools have undertaken to date are energized by the sustainability of outcomes for a better society and experience for our kids. We look forward to continuing to work with our city partners in making our community welcoming and strong through appreciation of everyone's unique contributions to Richmond and beyond, and that equity and inclusion are really for every day and everyone, and not just a focus of our day or a month. So with that, I thank you, Chair, for the opportunity to bring about some highlights at a high level of what is happening in our Richmond schools around the focus of equity.
Well, thank you, Navshina, and welcome to the committee. And that was a great introduction, actually, on a very important topic. So I thought that was excellent information. And does anybody have any questions or comments? I see Heather with her hand up. Go ahead.
Nice to see you all. I just want to thank you very much, both Crystal and Najvina. The learning that's taking place for the students, but also for the families with this, I don't want to say project, but with the work that's being done with the anti-racism is becoming evident. And I think that there's so much that we can teach and educate, and at the same time, we have to look within ourselves, and you are providing that opportunity for us to look at our own biases and move forward, which creates such a wonderful support for the students and the adults in all aspects of this committee. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Heather. Does anybody else have any comments or questions? don't see any hands popping up. But just one last comment from me to the school district, just, from being here for a long time. I think that the school district provides a tremendous amount of leadership in this area, as well as other areas of community life. And I think that, that should be recognized. And so thanks very much to the school district for demonstrating that kind of leadership in this particular area this time, but in others as well. So thank you. And if we're ready to move on to Pink Shirt Day, and I think that looks like it's Chris and Kristen. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We wanted to inform members of the committee that the city, the Richmond School District, Richmond Public Library, and Richmond Fire Rescue will be recognizing Pink Shirt Day this year on Wednesday, February the 23rd, to stand up against bullying within our community. Previously, this initiative was known as Erase Bullying Day, and there's been a shift as the Erase program has expanded beyond just bullying. So this year on February 23rd, city staff and council members will be wearing pink shirts, and Richmond Fire Rescue will mark the day with pink epaulets being added to their uniforms as well. And I'm going to pass it over to Kirsten, and she's going to talk a little bit more about some of the very specific initiatives that will be happening.
Thank you, Chris, and good morning, everyone. Well, inclusion, kindness, and acceptance are, of course, year-round themes for us. Our community centers and city libraries will be recognizing Pink Shirt Day with several specific initiatives. These all support our community wellness strategy for Richmond, particularly in regards to mental wellness and social connectedness. Activities this year will be hosted in person and virtually, and will emphasize messages of kindness, of respect, and embracing our diversity. They'll include activities such as interactive displays, educational resources, themed story times and craft activities, group discussions with many of our youth groups, and you may have seen rain-activated positive messages on walkways or outdoor sport courts at some of our facilities. So in closing, we invite you to join us by wearing pink on Wednesday, February 23rd to support this important initiative. And Chris and I are happy to answer any questions.
Thanks very much. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Sandra?
Thank you. Thanks for that report. I just picked up on what you said. Did you say that rain-activated messages? Obviously, I'm not getting to some of our facilities as often as I should, or and the exercise that goes along with that. But so I guess we unusually are going to be wanting to wish for rain that particular week.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the messages are they invisible until they get wet? Is that?
That's correct.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh wow, that's really a neat idea.
Any other comments or questions? Well, if it's sunny out, Sandra, we can call the fire department out to hose the messages down, so they'll come up. I think my first pink shirt was a uniform shirt more decades ago than I'd care to comment on. But it's another good cause, and it's a very visual symbol, so it's good to have as many people participating as we can. And Kirsten, I think I referred to you as Kristen, so my apologies for that. I'm working on my own name, so it will take me a while to get everybody's names down. So, but thank you very much for that. Go ahead, Sandra.
Oh, quick follow-up. Sorry, thank you. Just to encourage everyone to, if you don't already, just to take a look, especially that day or the day after. Follow some of our schools on Twitter, especially. They're really great at posting it, what's going on, and I know that they will have a lot of great stories to share about what they're doing at the school level around Pink Shirt Day.
Perfect. Thank you. If there's nothing else, we can move on. It looks like we can. So let's move on to number 7 is community wellness, and it looks like that's Elizabeth.
Thank you. I'm just going to get slideshow going. And so good morning. I am actually making this presentation in partnership with Jane McMillan from the school district. and that was just a little miss on the agenda, so I would like to acknowledge that. And I'm very pleased to be working with Jane and presenting this short progress update for you on our community wellness strategy, which you will recall and remember that is a 5-year strategy that was developed and endorsed by 3 significant organizations in the city, the school district, and Vancouver Coastal Health. And we work very closely together on the implementation of this strategy. Of course, the vision for the strategy is to be an active, caring, connected, healthy, and thriving Richmond. And with that in mind, we work on initiatives around physical activity, around mental well-being, around healthy eating habits, and of course, also, importantly, social connectedness. The organizations together really take a collaborative approach to the work that we do and work very hard to leverage work that we're already doing to align our work with our existing strategies and priorities from each of our organizations, and to take a coordinated and a holistic approach to improving wellness across the community, knowing that we're targeting people that live, work, and play in Richmond. And within the strategy, there's 5 significant focus areas. The first being healthy, active, and involved lifestyles, and this is where we are targeting physical activity, healthy eating, and mental wellness. Really focusing on social connectedness through enhancing physical and social connectedness within and among our communities. Enhancing equitable access to our amenities, services, programs within and among our neighborhoods. And then looking at our built and natural environments to facilitate safe and healthy and natural built environments. And finally is around promoting wellness literacy for residents across all ages and stages of life. And I'm going to pass it on to Jane now to speak to a few quick highlights.
Good morning, everyone. Elizabeth very kindly offered me the chance to share slides that are regarding some of the highlights and the collaborative initiatives between City of Richmond, Richmond School District, as well as other community partners that have taken place, and we're also going to share some upcoming opportunities with you. So on this slide, there are 3 highlights here, the first being cycling education in our schools for 6-7. Donna referenced this earlier, and I know a previous meeting went into further detail on the hub cycling opportunities and how they're working with our grade 6-7 students in Richmond. Just for your reference, in 2013, the city began funding cycling education courses for grade 5-7 students, typically at that time at 4 public elementary schools. In 2020, the city expanded its funding of the Ride the Road cycling education programs, and as mentioned, delivered by hub cycling to all of our grade 6-7 students in the school district over a 2-year period, and that is ongoing, and we have many students engaged in that right now with the goal of gaining lifelong knowledge, skills, and that confidence to cycle safely for fun and transportation. Go Day is an annual day-long exposition where a selected group of grade 8 and 9 girls are provided the opportunity to participate in educational and activity workshops in a day-long conference. And this has been a joint initiative between the City of Richmond, Vancouver Coastal Health, and Richmond School District. The participants have identified that being with friends, building confidence, and having more affordable opportunities were 3 things that would help them participate in physical activity more. And the goal of Go Day is to build their confidence and provide those opportunities to help them be more connected in those different opportunities across Richmond. The final piece on that slide is the Art Truck, and that's a mobile program operated through the Richmond Arts Centre that provides a range of art-based outreach programs throughout the school year and the summer, including physical literacy and movement programming. During the 2018-19 school year, the Art Truck delivered programs at 6 Richmond School District elementary schools. There was even during the pandemic, there was a special time where they were working specifically with children of essential service workers during the suspension of in-school instruction. And the Art truck program also reached new milestones with funding received from the province of BC's Before and After School Recreation Program grant, a nomination for the 2019 BC RPA Excellence Award, and a conference presentation featuring the art truck at the provincial BC RPA Symposium in Whistler. Right now, it's in a bit of a pause, as many things are with COVID, but we look forward as we emerge from the pandemic, seeing this continue on. It's a very valuable opportunity for our students. And moving to the next slide, the Healthy Living Bookmark contest has been in our district and a partnership for a number of years now, and it allows students to develop a creative outlet to engage their imagination, thinking and learning about wellness. In 2019, students from kindergarten through grade 7 submitted designs representing the slogan, "Growing Food, Growing Me." The 2020 theme was "Move and Play All Through the Day," and we're just waiting on this year's theme before we send this out for students to participate again this year. One design is then selected from each grade, and posters and bookmarks featuring the winning entries are created for distribution at community centers and library branches. And the far right side are some of the beautiful murals that have been developed across the city of Richmond. Among a number of artistic art initiatives underway, the City of Richmond's Community Mural Program has been a catalyst for 10 murals since the program's inception in 2018. A cornerstone of this program is the community-involved process that brings artists, students, community groups, and businesses together, transforming the places where our community members live, work, learn, and play. The 3 murals highlighted here from the top were all completed in 2021. The first at the top there is at McMath Secondary School, designed by Dean Laws. The second at Tomagichi Homa Elementary School was by Athena Pika. I'm thrilled to see that one in particular, as I was her vice principal at one point in elementary school, and it's so exciting to see her embarking on this career. And the bottom is from Thompson Elementary School, created by Fiona Tang. Moving on to the next slide, we're going to share just a couple of upcoming initiatives. What we've shared so far were some pieces developed since the inception of the 5-year City Wellness Plan. Looking ahead and looking very soon, starting next week is the Children's Art Festival. It begins on February 14th. And although there have been some pandemic-related changes, it's brought about some new opportunities as well. This year, classes will be scheduled to take place at recreation facilities across Richmond, which not only provides ease of access for all schools, and it also provides the chance to share love of the arts across a number of sites in Richmond. Those classes include author workshops, drumming, clay hand building, drawing and painting, media arts, dancing, acting, improv, many other opportunities. So students in grades 1 to 7 will have the opportunity to participate in 2 classes. Students in kindergarten participate in 1, plus additional festival offerings. We're very happy to say that currently we have about 2,000 students from 80 classes participating at one of the community centers across the city this year. Moving to the second point, Education Week. Planning is currently underway for Education Week here in Richmond, which will happen from April 25th to 29th. It's a bit of a change. Often we've conducted this in February, but we're moving it into the end of April this year. Really excited about this opportunity. It's going to be a virtual format primarily again this year. Our overarching theme, and I'll just give you some very high-level planning as we're still finalizing some of the details. Our overarching theme this year is connection, which is really fitting, given the critical need for connection that we've all seen in these past years as we've been navigating the pandemic. Over the course of the week, each day will highlight a particular theme underneath that broad scope of connection, including such topics as connecting to place, diversity, equity, and inclusion, healthy living and well-being, and sharing our gifts. Within each day, and this will be coming out to schools in the next week or so, we'll be asking for submissions from schools and classrooms about things that they're doing in their class, across their schools, within each of those themes. New this year are a couple of additional components I wanted to share here. One is that we're looking to access student voice directly. So we'll be asking for student submissions on these topics in students' own voices to share what they feel, what they connect to around each of those themes. And a third piece that I wanted to highlight, and that's because I know I'll be connecting with some City of Richmond staff here, is we want to include a section on community connection, where families might look to access opportunities within the greater community of Richmond. And so, as I say, I'll be reaching out to staff as we look to include that piece as we celebrate Education Week in Richmond this year. And I'll now, one last piece is we're just really excited as we move forward, hearing from students, from classes, and really celebrating the incredible things that are happening in our district. And it also helps us to highlight some of the key goals of the board's strategic plan. And I wanted to name them here because I hope you will see them very much reflected in our topics. Priority 1, inspired learners. Priority 2, equity and inclusion. And priority 5, a connected learning community. And we look forward to having you all access and see some of our submissions as we move into Education Week at the end of April. I'll now pass it back to Elizabeth to share the next 2 highlights.
Thank you, Jane. Coming up in June of this year is the Community Better Challenge, and this has become an annual initiative put on and sponsored nationally by Participation Canada. And so we will be working collaboratively across all 3 organizations to really promote individuals throughout the city to get active and to log their minutes. Last year, we logged over 9 million minutes of physical activity. And so our challenge will be to beat last year's record. And a new initiative that we'll be taking on this year is thanks to Vancouver Coastal Health, who has just provided us with $35,000 to develop programs to address children and youth mental wellness and resilience coming out of the pandemic, recognizing that our children and youth are really struggling as a result of the pandemic and the impact it's had. They were able to support us and support programs for children and youth by providing some funding. So we're looking forward to working together for the implementation of that. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing this PowerPoint, and we do have a short video that was put together by staff that really gives a holistic approach, an overview of the accomplishments over the last 2.5 years. And Evangel's going to show that. And at the end, if there's any questions, certainly Jane and I are happy to answer those.
For individuals, wellness means balancing our physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being.
At a community level, wellness means living in harmony with others, respecting diversity, feeling safe, supported, and included, and feeling a sense of belonging in our community.
On July 23, 2018, Richmond City Council endorsed the Community Wellness Strategy. As a designated global active city, Richmond is committed to promoting healthy, active lifestyles to prevent chronic disease and promote well-being.
Developed collaboratively by the City of Richmond, Vancouver Coastal Health, and the Richmond School District, the strategy's 5 focus areas and 47 strategic actions provide a plan to improve wellness for Richmond residents.
By fostering healthy living, creating healthy, social, and built environments, and improving wellness literacy.
Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, the 3 partners have made strides, together and individually, to improve wellness in Richmond.
Improving access to information, life skills, and opportunities for physical activity, healthy eating, and mental wellness are important ways to promote healthy lifestyles.
In addition to the many opportunities offered at swimming pools, arenas, and community centers across the city, walking and biking are great ways for people of all ages to be active.
From Walk Richmond's guided walks to downloadable maps like the Heritage Walking Series, Public Art Tour, and Recreational Trails and Cycling Map, residents have many resources to get walking and biking.
The city is also funding hub cycling courses in Richmond elementary schools
to give grade 6 and 7 students the knowledge, skills, and confidence to cycle safely for their whole lives.
Healthy eating isn't just about eating more veggies and fruits, it's also about knowing more about the food that we eat.
Community gardens and city parks and schoolyards are great places to learn about and connect over food. The VCH Food Asset Map shows residents where they can access healthy food in their neighborhoods.
Strengthening mental wellness takes a whole community. Foundry Richmond, opening its permanent location in 2022, provides access to mental health and wellness services for youth and their families through VCH's collaboration with over 15 community organizations.
Did you know that feeling a sense of belonging and value to the community is good for our physical, mental, and emotional health? But social connections between strangers don't just happen. Programs like Taking Care of Ourselves, Taking Care of Others, led by the Richmond School District, and the city's Snow Angels and Good Neighbor initiatives help to spark a sense of caring about our peers and our neighbors.
Recent grant projects like the Age-Friendly Communities Project based in the Seafair area and the Resilient Streets Project in the East and West provide a blueprint for building social connections, engaging the community, and helping to break down barriers in getting to know your neighbors.
Another way to improve wellness for everyone is by making it easier to access community resources. Richmond was one of the first communities in BC to establish a primary care network. This makes it easier for people to access preventative healthcare services like family doctors, mental health counselors, and dietitians, all under one roof.
Access is also improved through the Library Champions program, hosted by the Richmond Public Library, which helps build the capacity of new immigrants to help other newcomers find community resources.
Our natural and built environments play a critical role in our health and wellness. The city's active transportation network has expanded to nearly 80 kilometers of on and off street bike routes, greenways, and multi-use pathways, making it easier and safer to bike across the city.
And with 134 kilometers of walking trails and 58 city-maintained playgrounds, Richmond's network of open spaces, parks, and trails encourage walkability and outdoor play for people of all ages.
As the city grows, parks are growing too. Just ask residents who live near the city's newest neighborhood parks in the growing Capstan, Aberdeen, and Alexandra neighborhoods.
Meanwhile, the Richmond School District has focused on designing school environments that both enhance learning and promote social belonging by shifting towards library learning commons. These innovative spaces engage students in every neighborhood and enhance connection to their school, teachers, and peers.
Improving wellness literacy empowers people to better navigate health and wellness resources.
Partnerships help to tailor wellness literacy programming to different needs and age groups. An event like Go Day relies on the wellness strategy partners working together, while Activate 55 Plus and Community Center wellness programs are enhanced through the involvement of other organizations like Success and the Intercultural Online Health Network from UBC.
Meanwhile, the Community Better Challenge is a great way to connect people to evidence-based wellness resources through the Participaction mobile app.
In combination with over 100 free opportunities offered by Richmond's recreation facilities, residents were inspired to move more and sit less throughout the month of June 2021.
Richmond ranked 6th in Canada with over 9 million minutes of physical activity logged.
These are just a few of the highlights from the Richmond Community Wellness Strategy Progress Update. On the horizon are a number of projects that continue to foster healthy living, create healthy social and built environments, and improve wellness literacy.
Through collaborations between the City of Richmond, Vancouver Coastal Health, and the Richmond School District, and through partnerships with other community organizations, Richmond will continue to make strides towards being a more active, caring, connected, healthy, and thriving community.
Thank you. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have, and appreciate you watching the video.
Heather, hi. Go ahead.
I have a comment and a question. That was a wow. I love that. And so much that I wanted myself to get involved in. The Community Better Challenge, for example, I could see by the presentation that it's offered to everyone. And I just wondered, what type of platform do you use to get that information out there? It must be difficult, I would think, in some ways.
So we will certainly implement quite an extensive communication strategy. We're just in the process of developing exactly what the month will look like. And we'll also work with the marketing and communications team at the school district to message opportunities through, school newsletters, through your Twitter feed, through other avenues that are available. And ultimately, Participaction provides an app on your phone where you can log your minutes. So we'll provide more information as we get to details.
Okay, that's excellent. Thank you very much. Welcome.
Alexa?
Yeah, thank you for this report. There was a lot in it. When I look at CSBL 66 and I look at the bottom bullet, and it talks about the survey done with some of the students, and the percentage of students who responded to the question, how would you describe your health, mental or physical, with excellent or very good? Grade 7s are saying 40% say that, grade 10 are 34, and by grade 12, it's 25. So what I'm hearing is 75% of kids aren't feeling well by grade 12. And I think it's great that we have that $35,000 grant to start working on things. I think it's great that we have Foundry. I think that it's great that we have some of these things. I'm wondering, is this a major cause for concern? Do we need to really put more at this right now? And what are we doing to find out what the kids want to be doing, right? Like, how do we, I'm imagining we have some sort of process. So what's our process right now for finding out what the kids want and what's, services, infrastructure, things that they want to help them be healthy and happy?
I can speak to a few things, Councillor Liu, on behalf of the city, and I'm sure Jane may wish to add. But, certainly when we create youth initiatives, we try to bring a youth voice to the table. And so we don't do anything or much of anything without bringing the youth views to that. As you're aware, we've done things like gone out and consulted with them on the development of the new Easton Community Center and Branch Library to say, what's meaningful to you in a community center and what do we need to include? We have our youth leadership teams at all of the community centers. Those are the teams that we would likely reach out to talk to about what could we do with this $35,000 that would be meaningful to you that would help make a change. So those are just a couple of the things that we would do, and I would look to Jane to add from a school perspective.
Yes, it's a great question. My immediate response is, unless everyone is feeling well, it can't be anything but an important issue for us. And certainly the way that we're gathering information is sort of multi-tiered. We certainly have surveys that go out to the district student satisfaction surveys as well as other surveys to gather information. We have our school-based team, which consists of school-based staff as well as counseling supports to gather information from students and also monitor at the school level. And certainly we also received some additional funding from the ministry around mental health, both pandemic related and to support us moving forward, that we're looking at a variety of or we've implemented both mental health go-to literacy training for grade 8-9. We've been working with our counseling groups for some professional learning for them. We're working with school teams. We're going to be participating in a study looking at students at secondary and mental health and collecting information from them directly, and then working with them and with our school teams to just enhance those supports. Certainly, while the pandemic has highlighted and perhaps grown different pieces in different areas, it isn't mental health and concerns we will always have to make sure that our kids are well, have existed before and will continue on. And so we're continuing to refine and grow those opportunities for support, not just to make them bigger, but to ensure they're as effective as they possibly can through both our area counseling team, but also building capacity across educators in mental health literacy to ensure that we can direct students to the correct supports at the right time. And then finally, just working with partner groups. One piece that we're going to be sharing and moving forward with is Richmond's going to be part of have integrated child and youth teams. We're very much in process with the ministry and with other focus groups and RASA, or sorry, not RASA, Richmond Addiction Services and Mental Health to bring in teams. We'll have 4 teams in Richmond with staffing going forward for this fall in order to create a one-stop shop. I'm going to do a terrible job of explaining this. It's really about a 20-minute presentation, but it's a chance for that wraparound support for children K-12 in our system to provide supports for them and their families as different issues, whether it's substance abuse, mental health needs, arise, so that rather than having to seek out services themselves and tell their story to different agencies, that it comes to them in a wraparound way. So that is something we're very excited about as it moves forward as a really dedicated support. We're part of the next wave. There's some districts that are getting started that are about a year ahead of us. We're part of a group of, I believe, 4 districts coming on board, and then it will continue to grow throughout the province. So that's something that we're very excited about because we think it can make a real difference in a new way in supporting families as fulsomely as possible for the kids in our district.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Sandra?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thanks for the report. And it is really heartening to hear about the partnership, BCH, City, School District, working really well together in a really coordinated way to ensure, right, multifaceted support. And for, like, intergenerationally, so for everybody in our city. Like, I was particularly excited to hear about this this priority action in the report around developing curriculum, social emotional competency curriculum that is going to deliver the same messages for all ages, so children, youth, and adults. And was just wondering, is that like something the group is going to be working on, or is that going to be, that we're going to feed in some input to someone else who's going to be putting that together? It seems like a big project, but a really worthwhile project. Is there maybe the plans are still just coming together for that? But that sounds like a great way for then grandparents and grandchildren to have common language to talk and explore these issues, for example.
Through the chair to Councillor Nixon, yes, it's still in the development stage. I believe that initiative is being led by the school district, and the idea is, as much as possible, that we do share a common language so that there's reinforcement. If they go to the community center in the evening, that they're hearing the same sort of messaging and same sort of language that they hear all day in the school, and then reinforce with parents. So we are trying to pick up and leverage on work that's being done by each other, and to really share and intentionally use it throughout our system.
Right. Okay, great. Thanks. And I was just going to flag for perhaps a future agenda item when it feels appropriate for the district to bring back an update on those integrated child and youth teams, just a progress report at some point when they're a bit more up and running. Yeah.
Oh, we'd be very happy to share that. That would be great.
Any other questions or comments? Don't see any hands pop. I just have a couple. First of all, very good report, quite extensive, and it represents so much work, I think, and a lot of moving parts, things that are still evolving and have to be worked on continually. So just one of the things I really like to see in there, along with active and connected and healthy and thriving, I love the fact that caring was in there, because that's such an important component, and it's kind of the glue that brings a lot of other things together. So I just thought that was excellent. The murals are gorgeous. The only one I haven't seen is the tiger one, so that's appropriate, I guess, tied into Year of the Tiger. It looked nice. I think that's